All right, I will officially call to order the first meeting of the Reparations Task Force for the City of Detroit. The time is now 4:16 p.m. Where did Brian go? We have someone, Brian over here is walking around with public comment cards, so if you plan on speaking in that portion of the meeting, please grab one. So meeting called to order. I'm going to have us start with an opening prayer by Mama Joanne Watson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We offer prayers for this meeting. The calling for divine order. The calling for respect and recompense for the wonderful people of Detroit who have been overassessed in taxes, who have been disenfranchised with black bottom, who have been hit by 19 hospitals that were black-owned, which have been removed from the horizon in Detroit. We come for recompense, respect, and dignity. Ashe.
Ashe. I'm realizing I didn't introduce myself. Hello, everybody. I'm Lauren Hood, the co-chair of the Reparations Task Force. To my right here is Keith Williams, the other co-chair. And up front, you have our executive committee rounded out by Mama Joanne Watson and Dorian Tyus. Okay, so we are going to allow Council President to make some remarks before we move on with the agenda. Is Council President ready? We're ready for you, Madam President.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm pleased forgetting I'm here at a conference, so maybe a bit long back, but just extremely excited for the first meeting to take place. Excited that we have everyone seated and ready to go. I just want to make a quick announcement that the City Council unanimously supported one-time funding for the task force in this past budget for $350,000 to support the work that you all have done.
Thank you, Council President. We are going to hear some remarks from myself and co-chair Keith Williams, and then I'm going to have each member of the task force say their name, what district they're represented, who appointed them, and anything you would like people to know about why you wanted to be a part of this initiative. So Keith, go ahead with your comments.
Good evening. My name is Keith Williams. I'm the co-chair of the Reparations Task Force. First, I want to give honor to my Lord and Savior who makes days like this possible. To the listening audience and the folks on Zoom and social media, today is a historical day as we begin the process of rewriting the wrong, repairing the harm that was caused by racist practice and the political processes that wasn't favorable to black folks. Before I go any further, I would like to thank and honor my mentor, the late, great John Conyers, who wrote the legislation on reparation on H.R. 40. That is still languishing in the Congress. I also want to acknowledge the late Reparations Ray, the chief spokesperson of the reparation movement, who made sure that we knew what reparation was all about. And lastly, I want to thank my friend Robert Ruth Simmons, who brought me into the local reparations movement, which is spreading like wildfires throughout the city of in America. I want to say to the freedom fighters, the scholars, and all the folks who are pushing to bring reparations to a finished product, I want to say thank you. I am the current chair of the Michigan Democratic Party Black Caucus, who brought the winning reparation ballot initiative to fruition. I am also the former vice chair of the Wayne County Commission and former chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals. I was born in Black Bottom in 1956 at Women's Hospital, now Harper Hospital. My family moved to Black Bottom in 1946 and left in 1956, the year I was born. My family resided at 3151 East 4th Street, now Kings High School football field. My brothers and sisters went to Duffield Elementary on a street called Macomb, who was the first owner of slaves in Detroit in 1792. And I'm a graduate of Henry Ford and Eastern Michigan University and a lifelong Detroiter. Today, I stand on the shoulder of folks who resided in Black Bottom who went through trauma of racism, being displaced, and the loss of income and wealth. It's personal with me. My father went through hell like many folks that lived in Black Bottom, trying to make a living and try to take care of their families with limited resources. Although I was born in Black Bottom, I didn't live in Black Bottom like the rest of my family. My father used to tell me stories about Black Bottom, about the racist political structure led by 3 Republican mayors, Jennings, Van Antwerp, and Cobo. And Cobo, who was the one who concocted the Negro removal scheme to remove black people with the freeway system. My father also talked about the racist police department who recruited folks from the South and a black man named Ben Turpin who was recruited from Kentucky to police blacks. My father said that man was terrible. His tactics was worse than some of the white police. He was he walked around with a pearl handle pistol. So how did we get to this point? To lead the first ballot initiative in the United States on reparations, I tell the story. I met Robin Ruth Simmons. I saw Robin Ruth Simmons on Channel 7 one night, and they was talking about the first lady that brought reparations to fruition. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to call that young lady. And I did it about 20 minutes later. I called Robin Ruth Simmons, and she called me back. I had her come to the Black Caucus, and I said to my wife, if she bring reparations to Evanston, Illinois, a 15% black community, why can't we do it in Detroit, which is 85% black? She came and told us how we should do it. At first we was going to do go out and get signatures. That failed. So I went to President Mary Sheffield. I saw her at one of her Occupy Detroit. I said, can we work together to bring reparations to Detroit to fruition? And she said yes. And so the rest is history. We put it on the ballot. We won by 80% of the vote. And now we're on our way to victory. I just say this to you folks. Rome wouldn't build it a day. We got work to do, but we need your help to make this become a reality. We're 80% black in this city, and there's no way we should be living in poverty, in abject, without any resources. It's on us to change this, and this can be the vehicle to change the dynamics of the city of Detroit. God bless you. Stay black, love black, and we're going to be black all our lives.
Thank you, Keith. I'm a little more reserved, but I too have some comments. I do want to also acknowledge the work of those that brought us to this moment, and not just elected officials, but passionate, engaged citizens. You don't have to be somebody that holds a public office to make an impact. I also want to say reparations is a way of doing, thinking, and being, and not just a form of compensation. It's a right relationship. Citizens of all nationalities in right relationship with each other, with government and institutions, and with the environment. We're not talking about a one-time payout, but a paradigm shift in the kinds of policies and practices that govern black communities. In Detroit specifically, it requires a fundamental shift in priorities. Addressing past harms requires prioritizing the condition of our people ahead of prioritizing the condition of our property. This process shouldn't be painful or stressful. What we don't want to do is cause harm to folks assigned to address these harms. So I ask for patience and understanding. We're doing something that's never been done before. There is no template. So whatever happens as a result of this process is progress. Generations of harm requires generations of redress. This is a moment in a long timeline of efforts. We'll know this movement has been successful when struggle and adversity are no longer synonymous with an African American identity. Reparations is a framework for relationships, but we're not here to decide in isolation what is needed. We are here to steward a process. We are stewards of this process and not the sole final word on what repair should look like. We're here to make sure that everybody who wants to be heard can get heard. Reparations work is sacred, and we are here to treat it as such. Thank you. So I'm going to send it to Mama Watson, and then we'll go to you, Dorian.
Thank you very much. I'm very blessed to be here. I'm a veteran of the reparations movement, mentored directly by Reparations Ray Jenkins. As a matter of fact, I gave him that name. He called my radio, so every single day, promoting reparations as a debt owed, not a handout. And he was absolutely right. It was Reparations Ray Jenkins who convinced Congressman Carnage to introduce H.R. 40, which has now been shepherded by other persons in Congress. But the reparations issue is something that we really need to understand. You see, the Confederates who lost the Civil War, they got reparations. I know you didn't know that. The Confederates who lost the Civil War got reparations to compensate them for their losses. The Wall Street firms, colleges that are elite in this country, companies like Aetna Insurance, the size of the United States itself, the Louisiana Purchase, was paid for by profits from the slave trade. African men fighting in the Civil War helped to ensure the Union Army victory. So in a very real respect, black people saved this country and has provided the status of the United States as it is known today. We don't really understand reparations as a long-held practice and policy. It just has not been provided to Africans who were so duly owed that. Our people were not waving their hand on the west coast of Africa asking to come here. They were kidnapped at gunpoint and raped and lynched and terrorized and treated worse than animals. Detroit also owes a huge debt. A huge debt. Look at Black Bottom. 350 businesses that were deliberately destroyed, decimated. And they promised the Honorable Erma Henderson, for whom this room is named, told me out of her mouth that they promised they were going to rebuild those businesses. Do you think they did? Of course not. Everybody needs to read down through the years her autobiography, and Hard Stuff, the autobiography of the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young, who document what Black Bottom meant for black people in Detroit. There is a significant number of assets that have been removed, that have been disenfranchised from black people, including the 19 black hospitals that used to be here. They were forced into mergers and closures. I was born in a black hospital. Those hospitals don't exist anymore. We've gone from 19 to 0. When you look at what is owed, you must see it as a debt, not a handout. There is a debt owed. It's not a handout. And we're here to make sure that those folks who are owed compensation, like those who were over-assessed taxes, get their due. That's why we're here. And it's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to be here, and I'm so glad all of you are here. Reparations now. Reparations now.
Where's that coming from? Go ahead, Dorian.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dorian Tyus. I would like to say it's a pleasure to be here. I believe that, all of us are standing on the shoulders of giants, those individuals that came before us, that paved the way, that made the sacrifice, that shed the tears and shed blood. And so as a result of that, I think most importantly, as it relates to my role on this task force, is one, to think critically as well as diligently about not only the past harm, but the policies that are necessary to move us forward as a community. I believe that every Detroiter deserves a chance to not only have a brighter future, but also to engage in the American dream. And as a result of that, I believe that this task force is the first step to that. And so I feel it a pleasure and an honor to serve those here in the community, specifically black folks, as it relates to repairing and rebuilding for the past harms and injustices that have happened. And I look forward to having thoughtful dialogue with my colleagues as it relates to this and getting some meaningful policy recommendations to legislators so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Dorian. Before we hear from the rest of the task force, I just want to announce to the viewers online. That is so weird, and I recognize that voice too. That's Melanie Markowitz on Planning Commission with me. Anyway, to those in our virtual viewing audience, if you wanted to be considered for public comment, please raise your hand so we can take down your name. And again, those of you in the room who want to sign up for public comment, please grab a card. We will be closing the sign up for public comment in a few minutes. Okay, the rest of the task force, let's start with District 1. So let's give name, district, who appointed you, and whatever you want people to know about why you're a part of this initiative.
Sure. My name is Alan Venable. I'm a commercial litigator. I've been doing that for the last 20 years. I was appointed by Councilman Tate to be the representative for District 1. I'm also the current president of the Wolverine Bar Association and Foundation, which is the Black Bar Association of Attorneys here in Michigan. I started my legal career out as a legal researcher on the reparations litigation project at Howard University. So one of the first things I studied as a student was, what was the legal definition? How did our Supreme Court treat what is considered a badge and incident of slavery? We looked at issues about how other horribly oppressed and marginalized people around the world and throughout history, how they received reparations and what that meant for Black people. So I can only say that I'm proud to be looking at this very same issue for my hometown, Detroit, and I look forward to being a part of the task force and making sure that we can bring some reparations to the people who deserve it the most, the people who suffered the most, our people.
Thanks, Sam.
I'll just go.
Dr. Robinson. Yep, go ahead, Dr. Robinson.
My name is Jeffrey Robinson, and I was appointed by Councilwoman Angela Whitfield Callaway. I represent District 2, and I currently serve as the principal of the Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy within Detroit Public Schools Community District, and I am a professor of African and African Studies at Wayne State University. I am very honored to be a part of this reparations task force, and I look at it as an opportunity for Detroit to add to a national conversation on how we can address or redress the issue of reparations for people here in the city of Detroit and hopefully one day the nation. Detroit represents America's original slice of chocolate cake, the most densely populated area of Black people anywhere in the United States. So it would only be befitting that we would add to a conversation that can begin to not only address the present, but set in motion plans to address future generations of Blacks that live in the city of Detroit and need to be brought into the context of how we improve the overall quality of life. There is something to be said when you live in a city all your life the way that I have and see how our grandparents, our forefathers paid for the city of Detroit, helped erect the systems of our water board, Cobo Hall, and then come into an era where those contributions, those sacrifices, they're not giving, the history is not given the due that it deserves. So as a scholar whose scholarship is primarily and unapologetically focused on the improvement of overall life for Black people, my work on the task force will add to and expand a question asked by Professor Ron Walters, used to be at Wayne State University. It asked the question, what's this got to do with the liberation of Black people, and how does that liberation lead to reparations that will improve the overall quality of life here in the city of Detroit. I look forward to working with all, opening my mind to the possibilities of how we can all make Detroit better for those of us who live here and abroad. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Bernard Parker, representing District 4. Councilwoman Johnson, Letitia Johnson, recommended me to be on task force, and I'm very pleased to be here. It's something I have believed in all my adult life, that compensation for what we have endured needed to be done through reparations. I was involved with a number of different efforts that were moving forward, so I'm glad that we are here in Detroit recognize the importance of doing this. And I don't look at it just as what happened back during times when people were put into slavery. They were prisoners of war. They were captured and brought over here. They were not slaves, but they were put into slavery. And, you know, we can never come up with an amount of money, resources, or anything else to make up for those lives that were lost on the journey over here, as well as those that when they came here. And I think the federal government is ultimately responsible to look at how we can compensate. But being on a Detroit Reparation Task Force, I think that I want to look at and focus in on what the effects of that slavery has been to us here in Detroit. White supremacy was very dominant here after Jim Crow and black codes were put into place, and we as African people, African American people, were not getting the opportunities that other people in Detroit were given in order to build wealth and to build their education and everything else. And I think that as we move forward, one of the books that I have read, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, talks about how the effects of that institution still continues today. And I think that we need to look at how we can do something to make up for that type of injustice that took place here in the city of Detroit. And I hope to be a part of that. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gregory Hicks. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Detroit. I also have a PhD in sociology earned from Wayne State University, and I essentially focused on economic and social inequalities with that school. I do want to mention a couple of things. One, this is important work, and I hope that all of us regard this as the important work. I want to personally thank President Sheffield for appointing me to the task force. And I also want us to understand that our work here is really done in the spirit of 12 million people who were kidnapped off of the coast of Africa, and 2 additional million people who did not survive the Middle Passage. And when you look at that, that's not even incorporating the question of the what is referred to in history as the Arab slave trade. So when we look at in time what has occurred to us as a group of people, I hope that we approach this with the kind of respect and reverence that we should. I also think that it's important for us to connect the Detroit experience with the fact that slavery was not the stuff in which we were taught to the degree we were even taught about it in our history books. It was part of an international system. In fact, the system was slavery. And through slavery, we helped develop Europe, we helped develop South America, we helped develop North America. All of the stolen assets that came through that trade that basically set forth the industrial kind of development that we went into, agricultural, then industrial, and up to where we are today. So my hope is that we focus on this in a systematic way, and, because I think our remedies ultimately need to be systematic in its character. I am concerned about an individual, of course, who may have been harmed as a result of this, but the correction is really a community correction that we need. Thank you.
Hold on, Maurice, before you go. I just want to go ahead and close public comment. So we have names on cards, and we've taken down the names of folks who have their hands raised virtually. So I'm just going to close that public comment. Okay, go ahead, Maurice.
Thank you. Greetings, everybody. Maurice Weeks. I was appointed to the task force by the Honorable Councilwoman Gabriela Santiago Romero from District 6. I'm going to let you find my biography and resume and all that on the internet if you want to learn more about me, because what I want to say is that this is about action. This might be a task force that's only 18 months long and tasked with writing a report, but I'm not interested in writing a report that just sits on a shelf and gathers dust. We want to make sure that we put the things that we come up with as a city to the folks who actually can make it happen, and I'm ready to fight alongside the rest of the city of Detroit to make sure that we get our fair due in reparations. Also, my background is in community organizing. The most important thing to me and my place on this panel is to make sure that it is not just the thoughts of the 13 members on this panel, as esteemed as they are, or not just my thoughts that make it into the report. I'm just a single nerd. And I know that while our thoughts are important, they're secondary to folks who are here in the audience and folks who are across the city who have been fighting for years in this fight. Folks like these brothers that I just met here with organizations that have been fighting for reparations and so many others. So one thing you can always count on, if you come up to me after this meeting, you can get my email address. If there's something that you want to make sure that we discuss, I will happily bring it up to the rest of the committee because that's what I'm about. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Janice Hazel, and I live in District 7, and I was appointed by Council Member Fred Durhall. And I have been involved in the reparations movement. Anita, I'm going to say it. 41 years. 41 years, yes. Starting with my time working for Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, when New Yorkers were trying to get reparations off of the ground, but no one had an appetite for it. Fast forward from 1982, 1983, after Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm retired and I went to work for Congressman John Conyers, who was my congressman from the city of Detroit. No one had an appetite for reparations, not in the Congress, with only 25 Black members of Congress at that point in time. However, Congressman John Conyers, he had an appetite for it on the federal level. However, back in the earlier days, 82, 83, 84, when I first started working in the halls of Congress, we were trying to get the Martin Luther King holiday bill passed, which Congressman Conyers introduced for 15 years after the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He introduced it 4 days after he was assassinated. Dr. King was Congressman Conyers is the only person that Dr. King ever endorsed for a campaign, which was John Conyers. So fast forward to the mid-90s, when we started, and I'll say the American people, Black people started getting an appetite for reparations, I was put as point person in Congressman Conyers to do the early research and pulling together information on what could this look like. And as our esteemed co-chair, Reverend Watson, mentioned our own Detroit reparations Raymond Jenkins, he was always pressing in the background for reparations. And so it was after the research that we did that we pulled together the draft and developed the Reparations for African Americans legislation. And I'll never forget, on November 11th, Veterans Day of 1989, it was a Saturday, and Congressman Conyers was a Korean War veteran, but he was in his office working. And he called in all the staff, and anyone who didn't come in was fired. I made it through that draft because I happened to be in Washington that weekend. I didn't go to New York, where I typically did on weekends. And we pressed forward, put that legislation together because Congressman Conyers wanted it introduced before the end of the 101st congressional session. So we introduced it on November 20th, 1989, 34 years ago. At that point in time, I was flying back and forth to Detroit, and the Detroit City Council had no appetite for a local reparations bill, nor did the mayor, I have to say. So we pressed on at the national level, and we founded organizations such as INCOBRA and others that followed, National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations. 34 years ago, that is, and it still has not moved forward. It's done something in the House Judiciary Committee, but it hasn't gone to the floor. And those of us on the federal scene are calling for this President Biden to establish a federal commission by executive order. So that's just a backdrop. So for those 41 years that I've been working at the national level, I moved back home to Detroit, and I'm very glad that this council had an appetite for reparations on the local level. So as the daughter of freedom riders out of Alabama, I am very, very committed to this and hope to lend any information and assistance and perseverance that I can to our task force here in Detroit so that we can provide some repair to our residents who have been harmed greatly. And all of us who went through the Detroit school system were harmed. All of us who live in the city of Detroit were harmed. And I live just 5 blocks from Burwood, where there is not an 8-foot wall, 6-foot concrete wall, unlike Burwood at the 8 Mile. But it's a constant reminder every day when I drive out of my driveway that if not for the pressure that my parents and those of us who are here, our parents, put for social justice, I wouldn't be able to live in the house that I'm living in now because we could not move beyond, because of redlining, beyond Burwood on the west side of Detroit. So I'm here and I'm anxious to hear what other Detroiters want to see in a reparations legislation, reparations bill, and reparations to move forward. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anita Bell. I'm seeking the Green Party's nomination for President of the United States. I'm excited to work with other political parties, including the party of the mule, the Democrats, to redeem America. Like Reverend Joanne said, reparations is a debt owed, but specifically a debt owed to soldiers who saved America. I'm the president of the Reparations Labor Union and the female co-chair of the Detroit chapter of INCOBRA, the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. I'm the queen of the sky, married to the king of Mars in Exodus to Mars, an Afrofuturistic comedy about Black Martians who are reparations superheroes. I'm the daughter of the late and great Hugh and Thelma Bell. I'm the former attorney and plaintiff in a Black genocide lawsuit that has been aggrieved to the United Nations. I accuse the United States of violating my civil and human rights through COINTELPRO sabotaging of my lawsuits that sued the CIA for deliberately poisoning segregated Black neighborhoods, and that Black genocide is still happening today through drugs and poisoned water. I thank Councilman Coleman A. Young for nominating me as an at-large member of this historic task force. My inherited wealth would have been a house that my mother lived in for 42 years, but she lost that house in 2015 due to forfeiture after Detroit overtaxed her. She lost her life during the pandemic. That house is now worth $95,000. So, to me, just like Keith said, this is personal. I propose this body recommend an eviction, foreclosure, and forfeiture moratorium so that Blacks don't lose their homes to gentrification and genocide before reparations are paid. I also propose that as part of economic development, Detroit generate reparations from a melanin bank because our blood plasma, melanin, is being used in vaccines and cancer treatments, but Blacks and Indians, let's talk about them too, aren't being compensated. And last but not least, As a teacher, I recommend we pay our children to learn in school. It's a new day, y'all. Otherwise, we're losing our children. They can make more money on their cell phone, selling drugs or their bodies through sex trafficking. Reparations can save our elders because that's the pension that they long deserve. But we're going to lose a generation of our children if we don't pay reparations now.
And Miss Sydney online.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Sydney Holloway, and I'm serving the city of Detroit at large. I was appointed by Council Member Mary Waters, and I'm absolutely honored to be a part of this task force. I'm really looking forward to paying homage to those who came before me and to really amplify the voices in my community as we explore what reparations looks like to the residents of Detroit and what it means to bring these dreams to fruition. I'm hoping to work towards offering innovative yet sustainable ideas, particularly focused on tackling the housing crisis and any other forms of reconciliation between this municipality and its people. And I aim to stay engaged in the neighborhood, ensuring that their voices are accurately represented. So thank you all so much for being here this evening, and I can't wait to get this work started.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for indulging us. I just think it's important for the viewing audience to know who the people are you have working on your behalf to get these reparations. And I realize, like, I have a problem taking up space. I don't like talking about myself, but you should also know who I am. Lauren Hood founded the Institute for Afro-Urbanism, which is a think tank which proposes Afrocentric ways of doing community development. I also currently chair the City Planning Commission. As most of the battles for equity are fought in the community development realm, I went to our director of the Planning Commission and asked if we could do something on reparations. He said that your councilwoman, Mary Sheffield, is already working on it. So that's how I got here, and that's who I am. Thank you. I wanted to take a moment and see if any of my fellow task force members had amendments to the agenda. Is there anything that people would like to add for discussion that isn't already outlined? Okay, and also a note to our viewing audience, we don't have to abide by the Open Meetings Act, but we decided that we would, so a lot of the way this meeting flows is how City Council operates and how commissions operate, just so that we have a means of structuring how we make decisions and how we function. So I will accept a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Moved and supported. All in favor, respond with the sign of aye. Aye. Any nays? Okay, great. We've approved our first agenda. Also on the agenda, we wanted to add a reading of the resolution and the ballot initiative. We need everyone to understand, including ourselves, what we are here to do, and more importantly, what we are not here to do. So I would like to invite Tom Stevens from the Legislative Policy Division to read the resolution and the ballot initiative. So for those that don't know, LPD, the Legislative Policy Division, those are the lawyers that work for City Council. I wanted a legal voice to read this to make everything clear.
The operative parts of the ballot and the operative language from the ballot initiative asks, should the City of Detroit establish a reparations committee to make recommendations for housing and economic development programs that address historical discrimination against the Black community in Detroit? The vote was, I think, about 80% yes. Council's subsequent resolution setting up the structure of the task force. Bear with me a minute, I'm sure I'll find it somewhere here.
Take your time.
Resolved that the Reparations Task Force shall submit a written report of its findings and recommendations to the City Council no later than the date that is 18 months from the date of the first meeting of the Reparations Task Force, in other words, today. And the other issues, I think, are for the task force to decide themselves. That's been my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, so also on the agenda, we have setting some expectations. So I just wanted to make clear for people, again, that this process has never been done before. This is a new idea. This is a new task force. And we want the process to be as inclusive as possible. So a lot of the decisions that we make on how we operate and what we do is going to be in these public meetings and as a response to your public comment. So I just wanted to make that piece clear. Now I'm going to ask Maurice, because he was the note taker last time, if you could read the what's been done to date. So we had 2 internally facing Zoom meetings before this public meeting. So I just want to read a synopsis of what went on in those 2 meetings.
Absolutely, Madam Chair. So there were basically 3 decisions that were made on our 2 meetings, sort of further indicating we're at the beginning of this process. One was the budget request, which we heard from Council President Sheffield was approved for $350,000 total. The budget is going to be used for things like securing facilities for these meetings in various places around the city, bringing in experts, conducting research, and other technical assistance needs for the meetings.
Will you pull the microphone closer to you?
Sure. We also started the process of establishing subcommittees for the task force. The 4 that were discussed already are public education, economic development, housing, and research. And we talked about the frequency of the meetings and the format. So to reiterate, the meetings are open to the public, generally on Tuesdays, monthly, and we'll make sure that advance notice is given for the meetings. Our intention is for the meetings to move around the city so that we can further engage the public who can't make it down here, and the task force members will recommend the locations to host the meetings that we hope to all feature accessibility, wheelchair and other accessibility, AV capacity, and the ability to hold about 50 plus people. And that was the only 3 key decisions that are made so far, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any additions from my fellow task force members? Anything that's been discussed that we want to share with the public? All right, that was comprehensive enough, I suppose. And next on the agenda, we can begin public comment. Do we have, where's the microphone? Yeah.
You have on here setting expectations.
Oh, I thought I did that. Just
Pardon?
briefly, did you want to add something else, Bernard?
Oh, you mean when we made our introductions, that's when that was? Because I thought that was going to get into what we're expecting to, how we're going to operate.
Yeah.
And just
would you?
what we expect to how the process would go, majority rule, or just our process here of how we're going to function.
Okay. Did you want that noted on the record? Did you have ideas, or did you want it up for discussion?
Well, I thought it was on the agenda, and I thought that's what there was going to be some discussion taking place around that.
Okay, we can. Do we want to have discussion about that? I just said it was going to be open based on what we hear, and we'd be making decisions as we move along. Well, let's have discussion. What's up, Keith?
We can do it after we go through that. I don't have no problem with that. We can do it after we finish the other agenda items, and we can go back to that.
The only remaining item is public comments, right, Madam Chair?
The thinking was
well,
that...
you know, I threw it out there. If other members do not want to talk about that, I'm okay. But
I think we should, but I think the thinking was we would hear from folks first, and then, based on what we heard, make some decisions. But we can discuss it now if that's what we're here for.
Is there anything that might be glaring as to what we can't do, so that maybe that's where some people have a question of what are our expectations? Would we be saying $5 million to everybody like they did in San Francisco? Or would we just say, hey, get your land bank house? We might want to help with understanding what could be. What could be.
If I can speak on this?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Alan.
There are a lot of expectations associated with this process that we're going to have to discuss and that we need to discuss and that will be essential for the work that we do. Did we address them all initially? No, we just laid out the legislation, what those expectations are, and a general framework for what we're going to do. But we absolutely need to have that. We need to outline what some of those things are. We need to get on an agenda. We need to have a discussion on it. Whether that happens now or later, I'll leave that to the body to decide. But I think that's the way to go.
Go ahead, Keith. You sure?
Madam Chair. So I just want a clarification from Member Parker. I think that the format of hearing from the public first to get the scope of other things that folks are interested in makes sense for the type of expectations in terms of the things this body will discuss in addition to the things in the legislation. My understanding from Member Parker was talking about actual decision-making mechanisms within the task force and other things like that, which is that right?
Well,
Just a point of clarification.
Yeah, my thought was that we would come to some decision how we're going to function. I know that it was recommended that we meet monthly on Tuesday, but I don't think that was a decision. We had some discussion about that, and quite honestly, we couldn't make a decision in that format until we came here. So I just thought some of those procedural things might need to be discussed and decided upon. But I'm comfortable, we want to move that to the next meeting and just deal with public comments today. I'm okay with that. I just saw it on the agenda, so I just thought that's what it was going to speak to.
Thank you, Bernard. Go ahead, Keith.
You know, this is a task force. It's not a legislative body, okay? So, you know, I think we're going to be working out of committees. I think we should hold that, Bernard, to another meeting, a substantive meeting to get a better understanding of how we're going to approach this mission. So I'm in agreement with you, but I think we should just wait after this meeting and to another meeting and talk about committee assignments and stuff.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
No, duly noted, Bernard. We'll add that to the next agenda. I think it warrants a deeper discussion, but I think we just wanted to get some comments and see where people's thoughts are that might help guide our process. So I'm going to go ahead and call the first speaker. I'll actually call the first three names so that people can line up. Do we have a microphone? Oh, yes, there's a microphone. Okay, Jerry Goldberg, Milton Hudson, and Cecily McClellan. And you get 2 minutes. Paris, are you pulling up the timer? Okay. That's 2 minutes, 120 seconds.
Excuse me, Mr. Goldberg.
Sorry, sir,
can you turn the mic on if you just press that button in front of you?
Yep, that's right there. Yep.
Oh, I see. It's on now. Okay. I'll start again. So start my 2 minutes. My name is Jerry Goldberg. I'm a longtime resident of the city of Detroit, an activist, and as a lawyer was active in fighting the massive mortgage foreclosures that devastated our city and intervened in the bankruptcy to challenge the bank's role in destroying our legacy for the retirees. When I heard about this task force, I was thrilled because there are many aspects to the struggle for reparations dating back to slavery and the role banks played in the appalling kidnapping and trade of human beings from Africa. But it also presents an opportunity to demand that the banks and financial institutions pay reparations for their more recent crimes against humanity. Almost 10 million families lost their homes due to mortgage foreclosures from 2006 to 2014. This displacement occurred due to the widespread, deliberately predatory, and criminal subprime lending practices directed against African Americans and other people of color. And no city was as hard hit as Detroit by this. We were the leading city for black home ownership. But in 5 years' time, we had 65,000 families lose their homes to mortgage foreclosure, every one of which was due to a predatory, racist, criminal loan. And really, the tax foreclosures that followed were a result of the banks overvaluing the properties and leading to the tax foreclosures. As a result, since 2005, 139,000 of Detroit's 384,000 homes were foreclosed and eliminated. The city's population was reduced from 1 million people in 2000 to 637,000 people today, with a bulk of that reduction from 2005 to 2010. The same banks that were involved in the predatory lending practices that destroyed our neighborhoods, each one of them was involved in the slave trade. Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citizens Bank, Citibank, Wells Fargo, they not only were foreclosures then, but they were slave traders back then. We should be demanding that these banks repay our city for the $4 billion in predatory loans and the destruction of our neighborhoods.
2 minutes.
That funds can be used put in the hands of the people to rebuild our city, and we hope this becomes a focus of this task force. And I would offer to lend my expertise in this area.
Thank you. Yes, offer accepted. Taking a note.
Please, let's stay within the 2 minutes.
Go ahead. I have, is this Milton Hudson? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hudson.
My name is Milton Hudson. I'm a little bit different than some of the people in the audience in that I can't tell you that I'm a native Detroiter, but I can tell you that I had a great aunt. We call her Aunt Hyde, but her name is Floyd Toops. She was born in 1895, and about 4 generations of Georgians, including 2 of our brothers, which 2 of them still here now, were brought up under her wings, just like a lot of other families in Detroit. I came to Detroit after graduating from high school in 1970 and have been excited about this city ever since. Coleman A. Young was the mayor. I used to see this young lady when I was here in recent time. You still got the fire with Watson, Councilperson Watson. I worked on Dave Bean campaign. Now I'm saying all that to say that I'm as passionate about Detroit and Detroiters than probably anybody else in here. My brother is almost 80 years old. He worked 45 years Detroit Diesel, and these are the people in Detroit that are supporting the infrastructure, and they're getting nothing in return. So I'm from Oglethorpe, Georgia. I understand some of the consequences of slavery, as I believe Sister Watson said. You know, one thing about Abe Lincoln, and I've heard black people say he was the greatest president. One thing he did, in the notion that to save the Union, there was reparation all over the South. The whites, and I'm not a racist, but they got their due reparation. I said 3 things on that card. I said that let's be relentless, and this is not a job for the task force or the grassroots people of Detroit to sit idly by in 18 months. I also said, let's be strategic. I heard the back and forth about expectations. I think we got to work both relentlessly, and there's got to be a strategy. The other thing I said, it's late.
Oh, sorry. That's your 2-minute mark.
It's late.
It's 2 minutes.
Thank you.
She said reparation now, and that should be now.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Hi. Cecily McCullough.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. 40 acres, $50 in a mule. That was guaranteed after slavery. We know today that would be in the trillions of dollars. But as we
lean in.
Focus specifically on the city of Detroit, and as it's been mentioned by many of you, Black Bottom. I am born and raised and lived in Black Bottom. We were forced to move, provided very little compensation, and for those that did own their homes, they couldn't buy a new home anywhere else in the city of Detroit. Now they're talking about infilling and trying to build in 375. That is an area that needs to have your focused attention. Black folks in the city of Detroit need to be compensated, provided jobs, provided the opportunity to move in that area if it is infill. Additionally, I'm very much concerned about the foreclosures that occurred in 2008. As Mr. Goldberg indicated, there were thousands of foreclosures. And after that, you had an assessment that was done on the population. with the prices of homes falling grossly, and many of us were overassessed on the property. We can be compensated for that. Additionally, also during the bankruptcy, retirees were forced to have a clawback. And that clawback was from the period of 2014 to 2004 to 2013. Just interestingly, that's the same time period when Coleman Young, you would have got 30 years after 1974. And those persons had to pay 15.5%. They took back out of our pension that annuity. The city of Detroit should compensate. It should be compensated for all those retirees that lost that 15.5 that were selectively selected during the bankruptcy to pay those millions of dollars. And now they're having to live on less dollars because of that compensation. Reparations now.
Thank you, Ms. McCollin. Okay, I'll call the next three speakers: Portia Edwards, Anthony Williams, and Shannon Stayert. I'm sorry, what is it? Slayer.
Good afternoon. My name is Portia Edwards, and I am here to uplift my first cousin, third remove, Miss Mary Olivia Ross. If you know who she is, she was the first lady at Shiloh Greater Baptist Church, which is the second largest black church here in the city of Detroit in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the work that she did. She actually had to fight city council to make sure that they did not tear down their church that was built. So what they did was they built Brewster projects around the church. And that is why that church is standing there, because of my cousin's work. So me being here today should be no surprise to anyone. Okay, I am my ancestors, right? And we're gonna talk about whose ancestors we are. We are Black Americans, we are mulattoes, we are mestizoes, we are Black Indians, of Blackfoot, Cherokee, Chickasaw, and you name it. That's who we are. So when you're talking about reparations, you're talking about a specific group of people who were harmed, and especially harmed here in the city of Detroit. With this being the last stop on the Underground Railroad, we know better. We know better. So what I'm saying is, and I know we have some extraordinary minds here on the council today, do your homework. Do your homework and do all of it, okay? There is no cheat sheet to this. Obviously, this is the first time that we're doing this, but we appreciate the work that you are doing. I also wanted to mention, with regards to Evanston, somebody brought up Evanston. That is a no-no, okay? I had a copy of the housing application for Evanston, and no. It has to be specific. Start using the right language. When you say Detroiters, say Black American Detroiters. Say Black American Detroiters, okay? Because what we're not gonna do is allow other people to shoehorn their interests into our reparations. It's time to cut the check, right? And cut it now.
Thank you. Anthony William Lloyd Jr.
To the Detroit Reparations Task Force, executive and non-executive members, I'm here to express my strong objection to the Detroit Reparations Task Force ballot initiative. I believe that there are organizational conflicts of interest, inappropriateness, and continuing corruption, and are prejudicial to the inheritance and generational wealth of Black Americans who are reclassified as African Americans and whose families have a strong lineage tracing back to the chattel slavery era during 1619 and 1865. It is imperative that accurate federal documentations and substantial proof of progenitors are provided, while excluding DNA testing to determine those directly affected by the wrongs, inflicting hardships, injustices, simply unfair causes of distress, and improper treatments. Therefore, I'm calling on all of the politicians at the local, state, and federal levels of government to critically advise and inform the president that lineage-based reparations is encouraging sustainable economic growth critical to the nation's infrastructure and a disbursement of payments to Black Americans, revenue collection to raise standards of living and financial assets passed by one generation of family to another. Critically advise and inform the Federal Reserve System to perform general functions to promote effective operations of the United States economy and more generally, Black Americans. fostering payments and settlement system safety and efficiency through services to the banking industry and the United States government that facilitate U.S. dollar transactions and payments. 3, critically advise and inform the United States Department of Treasury to preserve influential and comprehensive participation relating to economic prosperity, ensuring financial security of Black Americans. Please regard the examination of what I'm brought to you today in correlation to the H.R. 40 bill, the Detroit Reparations Task Force, the history of the Congressional Black Caucus, the history of the Democratic Party, and the sustained study of reparations for Black Americans in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon Slayer.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the Detroit Reparations Task Force and fellow Detroiters here, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. June 23rd, 1963 remains an important date in Detroit history. This year, it will be 60 years that Dr. Martin Luther King organized a walk here with a crowd of more than 100,000 people down Woodward Avenue. It was called the Walk to Freedom, and it was to honor the 20th anniversary of the Detroit race riots here in 1943, in which over 24 people were killed and many more were injured. It ended at Coba Arena, where Dr. King delivered a powerful speech to Detroiters 2 months before his I Have a Dream speech later in Washington. During his speech, he solicited help from Detroiters to lend a hand to the civil rights struggle in the South, but he talked specifically about 3 areas here in the North in which we were specifically discriminated against. And that's in the area of employment discrimination, in the area of housing discrimination as discussed today, and as a Martin Luther King Junior Senior High School graduate, the area of de facto segregation in public schools. It is my hope that this task force in considering redress and repair, that it specifically delineates and focuses on a specific lineage that was harmed, Black Americans. This should not be an all reparations matter initiative. Any initiative for Black Americans should be imagined by those same Black Americans of this Detroit that were specifically for Black Americans harmed by the legacy of slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, the war on drugs, domestic terrorism, unfair housing, and education disparities. It is my strong belief that in addition to delineation, that cash payments should be on the table. Like Martin Luther King said later, in reference to reparations for farmers in the South, we're coming to get our check. Thank you.
Thank you. I will call the next 3, Kari Frazier, Brenya Griffin, and Mr. Karan Hamiel.
All right. So, Detroit City has the largest population of Black Americans in America. The resilience, brilliance, ingenuity of American Black Detroiters has changed the world. Futures collective of the American Black family here are still stifled. The inhumane, discriminatory, exploitive nature of enslavement of our ancestors has positioned many of us striving to find triumph through tragedy and trauma. The act of enslaving American Black people is an injustice that must be addressed. Currently, Detroit City is providing tax incentives for dozens of developments throughout our city. These tax incentives are provided to developers in the understanding that these business ventures will attract more business, spur more economic growth, and in turn, heighten the quality of life for Detroiters. Reparations for American Black Detroiters will not only accomplish the aforementioned goals, but also begin a road to repair the severed, oppressive reality that we as Black people in America face for living in America. I propose a blanket tax on all gross profits, every dollar that comes in, 3.13%, every dollar. If you're a white man, like so many of these white businesses, and if you happen to be a Black man that receives some money from this, 3.13% of gross income needs to go to a reparations fund. This can be something we can move on, and it'll be local, because we definitely giving out a whole lot of money to a whole lot of people. I'm Kari Frazier, a Detroit resident, proud Northwestern graduate, like John Conyers, and also the maker founder of Detroit is Different Network for more messages like this and other things. So, in honor of Reparations Ray Jenkins, let's make this a reality. Not hopeful. This is an expectation that can happen. And we have all the tax incentive money to get this. They say they're doing good business. Let's hold them accountable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Griffin. I am a teacher at Detroit International Academy for Young Women. I know a lot of people have been passionate. I'm coming with more questions, so if you can just have that rhetorical question thing. How is the committee going to be addressing accessibility and availability of affordable quality housing? I find that in Detroit, that's just something that we can't get, and I have heard all of the things about what has happened in the city. My second question is, how is this committee going to deal with the impact of police brutality that happens in our community, especially in areas and new people? The system is very brutal. Actually, the United States says that Detroit police are the most deadly in the United States. And thirdly, I want to know how this committee is going to address the disparities and the inequalities and the inequities of education in our schools. Right now, Whitmer had promised inequity for us, but the truth is our children are getting $3,000 less than most children in Michigan. So in closing, I want to say that white supremacy is really not a white issue, because white supremacy can exist without white people. So please, let's go ahead and see what we can do so that we can increase our accessibility and availability to better housing, help with the police brutality issue, as well as increase our children's availability to education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, panel. Good evening, Detroit. My name is Karan Hammy. I'm CEO of Money Man Lending and CEO of Galaxy Construction Group here in Detroit. And as a Detroiter, I sit here every day and I watch other cultures conduct business in our neighborhood and in our communities with parasitic intentions and practices. I want y'all to think about, in your report, I want y'all to make sure y'all structure some kind of policy that brings control to the neighborhood business back to the people of the community, because that's what we need. We need everybody to stop coming in our community, taking our money and going back to their countries. We need to build up our own selves. Thank you.
Thank you. I will call the next three. So Isra, I have one name, Isra, I-S-R-A. Isra, Dennis Boatwright, and Nubia Walford Port.
Good evening, panel. I don't have no long, drawn-out speech. I'm just here to support basically what slavery has did to all of us as a people, not to mention even us trying to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, as they say, coming out of slavery. As African-American, from 1865 to 1910, we led the world in technology without reparations. And they destroyed it with other laws that affected us post-slavery, not only during slavery, to make sure that we can't come up, because as a melanated people, we the most powerful people on the planet. I understand what we could do. And I'm here as a supporter, and I agree with everything else that's been said, so we know what got to be done, so let's just do it. Yep.
Thank you.
My name is Dennis Boatwright, and I'm the director of the Center for Pan-African Studies. This think tank is based in Detroit, and our focus is on international relations, foreign policy, Pan-Africanism, and of course, reparations. I just want to thank the City Council, as well as the Detroit Task Force on Reparations, for having the courage and the consciousness to even call on such a meeting. Because we know, and I want to bring up Queen Mother Moore's name as well, because to be quite frank, we are here because of Queen Mother Moore never gave up on the notion of reparations, nor did Marcus Garvey.
That's why we're here. And I have to admit, who has been in the forefront in making Queen Mother Moore's ideals as a reality is in Cobra. They're the ones that's been in the forefront. Because I will tell you this, really, before the summer of 2020, when we had the protests after George Floyd's killing, when I would mention reparations to people, they would look like it was some sort of absurdity. Now it is very fashionable to say we're for reparation. It's very safe now. So I want to take my hat off to Nkonkwa and people like Queen Mother Moore and Marcus Garvey, who knew that wasn't an absurdity. I also want to thank Sister Janice for inviting me here and sending me information on what it was about, and Dr. Robinson, who I feel that is a very qualified man, just based upon the book he had in hand by Dr. Ronald Walters, who's one of my favorite people. So I just want to offer the assistance of the Center for Pan-African Studies. However we're needed, we are surely willing to help out this task force. And you guys are doing a great job, and let's keep going. Let's not blow it. Let's not make this another missed opportunity.
Thank you.
Greetings, panel. I'm very happy to be here and see that you are doing the work specifically for the city of Detroit, for the people of Detroit, Africans born in America right here in Detroit. I have a couple of different questions for you. Hopefully you can address them in some form, some way, maybe in this meeting or in the future. How is this exactly how much, some clarity on how much money is involved, and how will it be dispersed? I know that's definitely on the table for discussion, but is it clear? Is it 283 million? Is it 500 million? How much exactly is the state and the city been allocated for this committee? Also, redlining, auto insurance, housing discrimination has been talked about. Dismantling of recorder's court, which affected people's income, but also caused many of our youth, many of the people from our community to be shuttled straight to prison, whereas the recorder's court was actually a buffer for that. Loss of income, my family in particular, my father was a bail bondsman, so he lost a lot of income with the dismantling of recorder's courts. Taxes, city and county should be eliminated for seniors due to all of their trauma, mistreatment, and economic stagnation from the city of Detroit. Business startup grants, I'm sure it's been talked about it. And also further scrutinizing of these businesses that come into our neighborhoods that do not clean up, that do not give anything back to the community. They are not obeying any ordinances in the city. That should really be part of our reparations, as far as, are we fining these businesses so that we can get these tax money and also force them into certain things that they should do for our community. My name is Nubia Wardford Polk, and I don't have a big speech either, but thank you for letting me address your committee today. Thank you, Nubia.
All right, I will call the next three. Attorney Norrell Hemphill, Heal Detroit Now, and Brooke Bowers.
Good afternoon. My name is Attorney Norrell Hemphill, and I have the honor and privilege of serving with We the People of Detroit, fighting every day for water affordability in Detroit. I'm going to take this time just to tell my story. I graduated from Lewis Cass Technical High School in 2002. At that time, I saw what was happening to the schools as they were closing and ramping up to close. I went away to college, came back, and was not able to find a job in Detroit. So I had to go to the suburbs. When I had my daughter, there were no good schools in Detroit. So to give her a quality education, she had to go to the suburbs, where she was subjected to the racist practices of white people, to them not having the cultural competencies to deal with black people, although they benefit by having our children in their schools because our children teach them humanity. When we focus on reparations, we must start with education. We can't do anything or fix anything unless we educate our children. Housing, quality housing, affordable housing. That doesn't have to do with the AMI because we know that's overinflated due to what's happening in downtown Detroit. The Detroit pensioners. We know the contrived bankruptcy stole from the Detroit pensioners. We must make them whole. And the families of those who passed after having their money stolen must be repaired as well. Healthcare. I remember when I was on WIC and we went to Herman Kiefer for our appointments. Now where do people go? How do people get through to Wayne Metro, who is the community action agency who's over all of the programs for low-income residents, like the Detroit Lifeline Plan?
Thank
who
you, ma'am.
Over and over
Sorry, your
again.
2 minutes is up.
Yes, ma'am, I'll finish my point and then I'll leave. Who over and over again are given these very, very, very high contracts to assist Detroiters with different programs, who take these large fees of 10 to 12%. And then Detroiters, sir, I understand that. And then Detroiters are not even able to get through to get the services that we deserve.
Thank you, Ms.
Reparations
Hemphill.
now.
Thank you.
Folks, we got to be respectful of people's time. We got online folks want to come in too.
We want to be fair and give everybody the same amount of time, 2 minutes.
Hello. Well, I'm about to be quick. I'm Lakeisha Harris with Heal Detroit, and I have a home health organization now, Heal Detroit Now. Ron Daniels, the State of Black World Conference, I went there back in 2000. John Conyers helped me go there. He paid for all my fundraising tickets. I was introduced in Cobra then through you. And my thing is now, if they get this money, they need some type of mental counseling. And the reason why I say that is because my neighbors next door, I keep giving them and giving them. And they keep trash still in my yard, and I keep telling them, okay, just put your trash can in the back, because Detroit is filthy. I mean, it's just, everywhere you go, it's just trash everywhere. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know what you all see. And so I got to thinking, I was supposed to be on this with you all, but so it was interference one meeting, and then the next meeting, my phone didn't work, my Wi-Fi didn't work, nothing. But anyways, that's you understand what I'm saying. But so I feel like they need some type of counseling first before they are giving anything, because we have strong mental issues that we need to deal with first before any money gets in our hands.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brooke Darcel Bowers. I'm with We the Youth of Detroit, and I want to talk about my experience as an activist and as a youth going to schools in Detroit. It's insane how underfunded they are. Like, they know what happens when you give power to Black people. Knowledge is power. We need to give money to our school systems. First, when people were like my mom, when she was younger, there were schools in our community. There were places to go to in our community. They could walk to school and it could be a safe trip because it was a 2-minute walk. But now, they're outside of our communities. They defunded our schools, they shut them down. Those schools are now just abandoned buildings. They also took all the hospitals we have now. Do you know how many Black women die, Black pregnant women die because those white doctors don't care? They're only helping the system. All they care about is the system. We need to make sure that our Black brothers and sisters are getting the education they need. I shouldn't have to go outside of the school community, my district, where I am safe. I am not safe around all those people. They don't care about me. They are insensitive to my feelings and my experiences, because I'm not benefiting them. Though me thriving is not helping them in any way. We need to uplift our communities. They put these power plants and let off these toxic greenhouse gases. They are killing us. This is one of the reasons I have asthma as a black woman in America. Why do black people have some of the highest asthma rates? Because they put those plants, they let out trash into our communities. This should not be something that exists. They do all this, and they ask for us. They ask for our taxpaying dollars. But why are they spending $618 million to fund little projects that are costing each about $2 million?
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Okay, we have one more in-person public comment, Gwen Howard, and then we will move to the folks in the virtual audience. You have their names? Okay.
Good evening, panel. Good to see you all and give honor to the Honorable Joanne Watson. To my pastor, Pastor Alonzo Bell, pastor of Martin Evers Missionary Baptist Church and founder of Redeemed Detroit. 2 minutes, I probably needed 2 days, but I am going to say, just to touch on one particular thing. My mom passed in 2014. She had 8 awesome children that paid her house off when she turned 65. She was 83 when she died, had no idea. Predatory lenders had come through their neighborhood. And when she passed, the house that we thought was paid for, she had $117,000 mortgage. She lived in the Boston Edison area. We had no idea that you gave a mortgage to an 80-year-old woman. She died at 83. We discovered this after the fact. Reparations now, you owe those people in that neighborhood their lineage, their ancestors, their children, their grandchildren. You owe them that money back because we're paying a mortgage off that we paid off in 1972 or something like that. But I'm saying that they did this to our communities. When I grew up in Detroit, the people that look like me owned the grocery stores. Farmer Jack's, A&P. The people that look like me owned the gas stations on the corner. People that look like me watched our children go to school every day because the schools were in our neighborhood. So I know that Detroit has the largest population of Detroit public schools with the poorest attendance because attendance is not a priority in their households. Housing is. Food is. So how are you going to take my kid to school if he doesn't have any shoes, if he doesn't have any food to eat? So that's why we are in the position that we're in, because we do need funding to our Detroit public schools. It needs to go back to Detroit public schools, not this community or whatever the new name is. So if you go back to public school, because public schools make the neighborhoods. So if you put the money in education and then you put it in our children, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take the first virtual public comment, William M. Davis. Yes. Thank you. The next speaker is Detroit Affordable and Homeless Task Force.
We want all former enslavers to pay into a monetary fund to provide monetary payments to the descendants. J.P. Morgan Chase need to pay, Bank of America, and Mr. Goldberg said, all of them need to pay into a fund. The universities, they stole from our people as well. We want to return the Detroit Public Schools to its natural form. We want Detroit Public Schools to receive their radio station back, 90.9 FM, PR, and we want that stolen and now called CJR. We want that back. We want our cable company back. Used to be barter cable. Here's our cable, our communication system back. That's what we want. We want the homes that are stolen through the illegal foreclosures and repay the $1 billion stolen through the illegal assessments. We want home repairs as a result, and we want bailout and all everything that was stolen under the fake bankruptcy, our water system, the electric system. We want everything returned back to us that was stolen out of the fake bankruptcy, and everybody knows it's fake. We want also the universities to give free college for everybody black. We want everybody to get a car because Ford, GM, Chrysler, National Land, all of them hold reparations. Everybody needs transportation. The system here in Detroit is illegal. It sucks all of our resources and gives us nothing in return. And we want right now to return to a system that is.
Thank you, ma'am. The next speaker is Marguerite Scarlett Maddox. Thank you, Ms. Maddox. If you can drop some comments in the text, I want to make sure that we understood everything that you were trying to convey. So if you can drop that in the message section, that would be great. Can they have that access? Okay. Okay, submit it via email. I'm sorry, the text option isn't available. The next speaker is We the People of Detroit.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Chair. The Reparations Task Force, we're extremely grateful for this day and want to thank and honor all that have contributed to bringing it to fruition. But I would like to ask, for those that may not know, I'm Martin Patrick, and I serve as the president and CEO of We the People of Detroit. We're a small nonprofit here in the city, but doing a mighty work for the human rights of water. And what we know is that
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. You know we'll be reaching out for a presentation. Next speaker is Renard. Some last name that starts with an M. What does it say, Paris? What's his last name? Munchansky. Renard Munchansky. Oh, he dropped off? Okay. All right, next speaker, Ernest Russell. Yes, we can. Thank you. The next speaker is Janelle Page. Jerry Page. Yes, we can. Thank you. Our next speaker is Monique Baker McCormick.
Good evening. This is Monique Baker McCormick, Wayne County Commissioner. I just want to put
Thank you, Commissioner. The next speaker is Tula Cabone. Yes, we can. Thank you, Mr. Cabone. Next up, we have Kofi Kenyatta. Yes, you can.
My name is Kofi Kenyatta. I'm the senior counsel for reparations to mean a lot of things, but it must include no strings attached to recognize Black people and systemic change throughout all levels of government. Small scale programming will not suffice. I am a native son of Detroit, and the son of a Black resident. I have seen firsthand the impact of systemic racism and inequality in our community, from redlining to present day plantation politics. Our city has long and painful history of discrimination against Black people. The time for reparations is long overdue. I believe that the Detroit Reparations Task Force is necessary towards healing the wounds of our past and building a more equitable future. Over the next 18 months, I will see this task force prioritize the following actions. Firstly, I hope the task force will conduct a thorough investigation into the harm caused by Detroiters by local mortgage companies, the city itself, the state of Michigan, Wayne County, and U.S. government. It is essential that we fully understand the extent of the damage that has been done and enforce the most effective. Secondly, I hope the task force will work to identify and recommend protective measures that will address the systemic inequalities that exist today that poverty plagues this majority of our city and has for far too long. Lastly, I hope the task force will continue to prioritize community engagement and participation throughout this process. It is essential that the most affected by the harm caused by systemic racism and discrimination have a voice in the decision-making process. I am proud to stand with the other Detroiters and support the Detroit Reparations Task Force that's working together, and I'll be able to provide my support and resources to make sure that this happens for people in Detroit.
Thank you. And our last virtual speaker, Tanae Hankins.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, and thank you all so much for having the task force. I'm glad to get on it. Didn't make it obviously, but I am so proud and so happy of the members on the force. Some of you I know and have worked with, some of you I don't. But I feel okay. I feel good. And I want you all to know
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hankins. All right, that concludes our public comment. I do want to give that email address. Primarily, this is for Ms. Maddox, so she can send in her comments, but I suppose it doesn't preclude other people from writing down your email address, Paris. The email address is blessmanp, so that's BLESSMANP @DetroitMI.gov. So before we close out and talk about next steps, I wanted to look to the rest of the task force. Does anybody have comments or reflections that we want to get on the record before we close out?
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
As the public comments were made, there was a transcription of those that came across the screen. Is that transcription captured, or is it just an artifact of the Zoom?
Paris?
Okay, because if it is captured, I would like to make a motion that the comments become part of our permanent record.
Certainly, we can do that. Okay, so we'll look into it. At the very least, the recording will be available, and I suppose someone could watch it and take the transcription.
Yeah, the preserve the record is the issue.
Yep. Duly noted. Mama Watson, you had a comment?
Madam Chair, I want to first of all thank everybody who participated in public comment. Everybody, thank you. It's the public who voted for the reparations referendum that created our positions. So we acknowledge those who voted. They voted in greater numbers than they voted for any person running for office. So the reparations clearly is a priority for the city of Detroit. There were a number of those who spoke, who offered their resources, offered their talent and time and expertise in helping us with data resources, with research, and I believe we should accept those who offered it and do it formally and create a path for them to do their work. Several of them are outstanding, long-time veteran leaders in this community, and we should immediately seize that opportunity. I'm happy to offer my service. I took notes of who said I want to help.
Me too.
And I believe we should follow up on that immediately, because many of those persons, we need their resources. We need their input in order to fully develop our outcome within 18 months. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mama Watson. Who's that? Oh, go ahead, Dana.
Right, and this is for Ms. Blessman with Media Services. I'm not sure how they set up this Zoom, but typically you have to capture that transcript before you close it out. So I don't know if it'll be available on replay, but typically you have to, before they shut down the Zoom, download the transcript. Thank you.
And one last question I had for a person that spoke. There is a young lady. Are you old enough to vote? How old are you? I'm sorry. If you couldn't hear her, she said she's 14 years old and in the 8th grade. Thank you, because you didn't vote for it, but hold us accountable.
Thank you. Go ahead, Keith.
You know, I'm feeling that all the work that we put into this in 2001 is going to come to fruition. And I say, work with us. We're going to get it done, because I didn't get in this to fail. And so I've been in Detroit all my life, and I just want to see fair. I want to see some equitable kind of things that happen that we should have. And so just wait on. We're going to get it done. I'm just letting the public know. But we have to get a better understanding of what's federal reparations and what's local reparations, and try to bring it all together and get a better understanding of it. So God bless everybody. We're going to get it done.
And And I want to thank everybody for your patience as we navigate this extremely awkward process. You know, again, it's a new thing that hasn't been done before, so everything you see before you is, we're figuring it out in real time. So bear with us. For next steps, we have all agreed that we need a frequency of meetings in the early stages that we might not maintain throughout, but we were going to meet for every 2 weeks initially. So the next meeting we have on our calendar is Thursday, April 27th, again at 4 o'clock. And on my calendar invite, it says City Hall again. Did we agree on another City Hall meeting? Right, that's what I thought. Yep, go ahead, Sydney.
Hey, so we sent out an email and we actually probably should bring this back up to the table to have a definitive vote on the date and time of the meeting.
Okay.
We proposed in our last meeting that we did Tuesdays at 4 or 5.
Okay.
So the calendar invite you have may be a little off.
Okay.
I did send out a meeting request for Tuesdays between 4 and 5. So I'll check my calendar to confirm. But if we want to bring that up and actually have a discussion surrounding so we can get something concrete on the calendar, we probably should do that.
Well, let's do that now, folks. What do we like? Do we like Tuesdays? I remember there was some discussion and we all agreed that was a day that worked, but is that when you have your radio show?
That's on Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday. Okay. Does Tuesday work for everybody at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Depends on where it is.
Who said depends on where it is?
Me.
Okay. All right, well,
Madam Chair.
do we need to vote on that? Let's move on Tuesdays at 6 as our new voting time. Is there a motion?
Support.
And supported. All those in favor respond with the sign of aye. Aye. Any nays? You an aye, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay. Tuesdays from 4 to 6 is now our new meeting time. And we did agree that we would go to different locations that represent each of the districts that across the city. Do we have a vote for where we start? Do we think we need to go in order? Dorian, you look like you have an opinion. What? Oh, sorry, Tuesday 4 to 6. Tuesday 4 to 6. Oh, it does not. Okay, sorry, we need more discussion.
What works for you?
He said 4 to 6 does not work for him.
4 to 6 does not work for me.
Can we just keep it at Thursday?
Well, it's up for discussion in the mic.
Can we just keep it at Thursdays? Yes. 4 to 6.
I can make it work.
Does that work?
We can't please everybody, but we have.
That works.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that might be the only person that has a conflict on Thursday.
Every Thursday?
Or like a Wednesday or a Friday.
Is it every Thursday?
It's every Thursday.
Okay.
Does Friday work for everyone?
Does anyone have an objection to a Friday meeting, 4 to 6? I can't see everybody. 4 to 6 good for you?
Madam Chair, one caveat. As we move forward into the fall-winter months, I would just request that we do daylight hours, something the 4 weeks stay at the 4. We did talk about that. So right now, if we need to move it later, that will help some of our task force members while it's daylight, but after the fall winter.
So you're saying move it to an earlier hour?
No, later hour if they need that, such
later
as
hour.
Sydney has a conflict. So would later during the summer months while it's still light outside, would that work for you? Would that help you with your schedule? This is for Sydney.
You're asking Sydney?
She says she has a conflict on Thursdays, which seems to work better for some. So.
Yeah, so the conflict on Thursday is like my job. They've been off movement these first few 4 o'clock meetings. But moving forward, it might be very tough for me to join via Zoom or in person.
So what hour would be better for you if Thursday is better for the majority?
I don't want to make it any later, so I really want to
excuse me, Madam
Can
Chair.
we,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair,
go ahead.
if I can suggest that we kind of take these in kind of like little subsections that we kind of, what we ultimately interested in doing is engaging the community in a dialogue. And one of the things that's going to be important for that is the community have some real certainty as to when we're going to meet and where we're going to meet.
Correct.
So if we would look at maybe trying to hammer out a schedule, let's say for 2 months, and that essentially takes us around the city, given the arrangements we have, and then publish that, and then we can get back to other kind of adjustments based upon the experience that we have over that 2-month period.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. I think, though, that if we are going to do the every 2 weeks, we should at least get the next meeting locked down before we leave, just so that people can organize their schedules around it. So I can organize my schedule around it. 2 weeks is like the limit. So
I thought when we
Madam
had
Chair?
the discussion, we
Yes.
were talking about District 1
Okay.
before. I mean, that's what I thought. So I don't know what District 1 says about it.
He had to leave. Okay, Keith, go ahead.
This is not a perfect storm, a perfect situation. I got times, that I can't do it, but I'll work around my schedule. We're in here to get something done, okay? I know everybody got issues and they got to do what they have to do, but let's try to come together so we can go to the public and talk about what we're trying to do to solve some issues for them, not for yourself. That's how I feel about it.
I would say at the very least, before we close out this meeting, we need to have the second meeting on the schedule if we're trying to do it in 2 weeks.
Let's do it Friday, the next 2 weeks from the Friday, if that accommodates everybody.
Are there any objections to Friday? No. We're looking at Friday, the 28th of April. Okay. Any objections?
No objection.
We do not have a location, and we were going to go in order of the districts, but I see our District 1 person has left. Dr. Robinson, do you have a District 2 location that we can have this public meeting at? And remember, our criteria requires seating for at least 50 people, and we need the audio-visual capabilities to do Zoom. Can we do it at your school?
No, we don't want to do it at my school.
Okay.
I have proposed that we would engage Renaissance High School.
Okay.
I've already contacted the community use department to get the auditorium made available. I can revisit that and let you know for that date. Now, would that be a date for the Friday meeting? I mean, we put 2 in front of 1.
Friday the 28th, 4 to 6.
I will confirm that tomorrow, and we're going to go with the 28th of Friday, 28th of April.
Yep.
I will look into that. It's right across the street, so I mean, either one. Yep.
Fantastic. So for members of our viewing public, just please block out in your calendars Friday, April 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. Location forthcoming. Do we need to discuss how do we get information to people? Can you post it on the website, the city's website? Okay. So if you Google Reparations City of Detroit website, we'll post it on Council President's page, the location for the next meeting. Anything else before we close out? We're taking baby steps. So we have the one baby step from this meeting is that we have a meeting on the 28th from 4 to 6. And we will update you with a more comprehensive calendar at that time. Are there any other comments before we close out?
Yeah, one other thing. I'm assuming I didn't see a sign-in or anything like that for people who were here.
That's a good
if they
call.
want to be notified, and they would have to leave some information with us so that we can at least update them as to this next meeting.
That is a fantastic idea. I'm looking around. Did Brian leave? Who can we get to create a signage? That's what I'm looking for. Okay. We're going to be real random about this. We're going to put a piece of paper up here by this entrance where you can leave your name and email address so that we can contact you with updates. Correct. No, ma'am.
The next meeting.
No, ma'am. Just people who want to participate in the dialogue at this next session.
Minimum.
Okay, if there are no other comments from my fellow task force members, then this is a really awkward way to look at people. Yes,
Second the movement for adjournment.
Moved and supported. All those in favor respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. A meeting officially adjourned at 6:15 p.m. Thank you.
Thank y'all.